If you're an aspiring school leader and you're still answering interview questions as if you're a great teacher, that may be why you haven't landed the role yet. Great leaders sound different. They communicate with clarity, with strategy, and with confidence. And that's truly the difference maker between those who land the role and those who don't. In today's episode, I'm breaking down 4 strategies regarding what great leaders sound like in interviews and how you can stop rambling, how you can own your story so that you can truly take your interview skills to the next level. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom. I help aspiring school leaders confidently land their first leadership role. Now, today we're going to be talking about what great leaders sound like in interviews. You know, this whole concept of what great leaders sound like truly is grounded in wisdom. And what I mean by that is there is a distinct difference from an individual who truly knows theory, who truly knows what it's like to be a great classroom teacher, but they might not necessarily have the level of wisdom and understanding in terms of what it takes to be a great school leader. Because again, school leadership is a different skill set. Leadership in general is a different skill set aside from teaching, right? Think about it. You can be a great teacher in your specific classroom. You can be making an immediate impact in your specific classroom. But the leadership impact that you are going to need to make as an aspiring school leader who eventually lands that first role is going to be a lot greater. It's going to take a little bit more depth. It's going to take a well-rounded and comprehensive understanding of what leadership looks like and how to implement it. That's the difference. You can understand on paper what it takes to be a great school leader because you've had conversations, because you have observed other people and you start to see some of those gaps in leadership. I think all of those things are important. But when it comes to making those practical decisions, it's going to take a level of wisdom that you can gain through coaching. So let's go through 4 strategies regarding what great leaders sound like in interview so that you could start communicating that for your next interview and you can stand out among the other candidates. So number 1, our first strategy is I want you to speak in outcomes, not activities. Instead of saying, I created a reading intervention group, you want to say, as a result of the intervention group I led, 85% of students met or exceeded growth targets within 6 weeks. There is a distinct difference there, right? That is completely different when you start talking about what you have led and also the results and the outcomes that have come from your leadership, right? So you want to start framing the activities and the things that you're doing in the classroom and even within your team or school-wide in a way that people are able to see the level of leader that you're going to be. Again, instead of saying, I created a reading intervention group, talk about the leadership skills, right? Your ability to lead teams, because that's what you're going to be doing once you land that role. People are going to be looking to you to lead other adults. It's one thing to be able to effectively lead children, right? And teaching and learning in terms of like raising student achievement. All of that is great. All of that is awesome. That's what we need. But when you start talking about transitioning from a classroom teacher to a school leader, now you're talking about leading adults. Now you're talking about, and this is something that we don't often talk about, right? Sometimes you're going to have to start to address fixed mindsets as it relates to adults and start to figure out ways that you can make them have more of a growth mindset. So what I mean by that is, and you know, as adults, sometimes we can be stuck in our ways. We can be stuck in the way that things have been done. This is the way that we've been doing things. Why are we changing things? it is your responsibility as a leader, once you get that role, to start to use your influence in a way that allows people to trust you in terms of why you are implementing a new program or an initiative, right? All of that is important. So you need to start talking about your leadership and also the results that you have been able to get, because that's truly what's going to show the interview committee that you are able to make an impact on teaching and learning. Confidence sounds like results. So I want you to practice. Flip one of your I did statements into an I led statement. It does make a difference when you talk about what you have done in terms of your leadership as opposed to what you did in your classroom. All right. So strategy number 1 is speak in outcomes, not activities. I know you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to let you know about my latest book, Beyond the Classroom, helping aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. Now, this book is going to help you navigate the learning curve as you transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader, manage your busy schedule and reclaim your time to effectively be an instructional leader, take a holistic approach towards school leadership, and increase your instructional impact by fostering a school culture of feedback and coaching. So if you are an aspiring school leader looking to be an effective practitioner, head over to my website and grab your copy today. Strategy number 2, use we strategically. Great leaders elevate teams without disappearing in the process. See, it's easy to talk about what you have done as a team, right? But at the end of the day, right, the team is not interviewing for the leadership position. You are. So you need to be strategic in how you are using the term we and how you are using I in terms of leadership. So you'll say, I led the planning team that implemented X strategy, and together we achieved X, Y, and Z, right? So you're using we to show collaboration because you don't want to be a self-centered leader and it's all about you. So you are showing the collaborative aspect of your leadership, but you're using I to show your leadership. Again, when you overuse we, then you have to understand, we are not, right? The team, they're not interviewing for the role. It is you. And so you have to be strategic in the way that you're using it. You want to show that you are a collaborative leader, but among the collaboration, you are still leading that initiative. All right. I hope that makes sense. So again, you want to use I and you want to use we strategically. So use we to show your collaboration, but use I to show your leadership. Own your leadership lane while honoring the team. Avoid disappearing behind the team. Make your contribution clear. You have to make your contribution clear. So even right now in my particular role as an assistant principal, right, I am a part of a ton of different initiatives. But at the end of the day, there are initiatives, right, that I need to be leading as opposed to taking a back seat and allowing the team to lead. Leadership means that you have to be the one that is making it clear that you are the leader, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that is able to support other people, in a way that is able to highlight the strengths of other people and put them in positions to operate in their strength, right? But not leaving them on an island to do it alone, but also checking in with them to make sure that they have the proper levels of support. So again, strategy number 2 is use we strategically. All right. Our third strategy for today is answer with purpose, not paragraphs. Strong leaders don't ramble. They follow a clear rhythm in interviews. You hear me talk about this a lot. You have to talk about the examples. What have you done in terms of your leadership? Right? It's one thing to go into a teacher interview fresh out of college. It is expected that you don't have the level of teaching experience that you can speak to what you have done already. Right? that is assumed. But at this point, when you are trying to make that when you are transitioning from a classroom teacher to a school leader, you have to understand that you need to be intentional about the experiences that you are currently getting so you can speak to those in your interview. You don't want to highlight that you're a great teacher. You want to highlight that you're a great teacher who has also had leadership experience, and you're tapping into that and speaking more about your leadership experience, the things that you are doing on your leadership teams, that you're leading adults, that you're mentoring other people, because that is what you're going to be doing once you land your first leadership role. So when it comes to strong leaders in their interviews, they keep it brief. They keep their responses brief. They make a bold, confident point, and they back it up with a quick result or an example. Again, examples. You're not giving a life story. So even in that initial question, when the interview committee asks you, tell me a little bit about yourself, this is not an opportunity for you to go into your life story. This is an opportunity for you to highlight something about you, but weave in your leadership principles and what you have done and the strategic impact that you intend to make based on the culture and climate of the particular school, the particular district that you are applying to. You have to be strategic in all of your responses, right? Because if you're not strategic, if you are not prepared, it will show. And your confidence is going to, or your lack of confidence is also going to show if you are not prepared, right? Because preparation means, right, when you're truly prepared for something, your confidence is going to shine. So I need you to ask yourself and reflect on this question. Have you been on interviews and you haven't felt confident about the interview? You haven't felt confident after you left that room, that conference room, that Zoom call, whatever interview style that you have engaged in. If you haven't left confident in your responses in the way that you interviewed, I want you to reflect and ask yourself, were you truly prepared? Because preparation breeds confidence. So again, when you are answering with purpose, not paragraphs, you're going to keep your responses brief, bold, and you're going to back it up with a quick example. That rhythm, it's going to show clarity, it's going to show control, and it's also going to show leadership under pressure. So strategy number 3 was answer with purpose, not paragraphs. And lastly, our 4th strategy as it relates to what great leaders sound like in interviews is close strong, end with clarity. So for example, I'm ready to serve the school community, lead with urgency, and drive measurable outcomes from day one. You want to leave the interview committee with no doubt that you're ready for this role, that you're ready for this position. And here's the thing. When you are going into a particular role, let's say you are applying for the role of assistant principal, you have to understand that there's a dance that you have to do. You have to show that you are confident in your leadership, while at the same time showing that you are humble enough to submit to the mission, vision, and core values of your principal. There's a dance here, right? There's a duality here. You have to understand that your principal is not going to hold your hand as it relates to leadership. So you have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and demonstrate a level of confidence, a level of assurance, because there aren't going to be any training wheels. You have to figure this thing out with the guidance of your principal. See, everything that you do when you are applying for that first leadership role and you land it, everything that you do has to be submitted to the mission, vision, and core values of your supervisor, your principal. But you still have to demonstrate that you can handle disgruntled parents on your own, that you can handle conflict resolution as it relates to colleagues, that you can handle disciplining students in a way that is restorative and not punitive. You have to demonstrate all of that. So there's a level of confidence that you need to show, but it needs to also be with a level of humility, right? And I need you to start understanding that process, because that's what's truly going to help you land that first leadership role. And so if you are an aspiring school leader who's ready to sound like the leader the interview committee would be crazy not to hire, let's get to work. Let's work together. Inside my 4-week program, Elevate Your Impact, I help you polish your leadership story, strengthen your interview communication, show up with the mindset and presence of a school leader, and land your first leadership role with confidence. If that sounds like you, if it sounds like you need an additional level of support. You need some coaching, some mentorship to truly understand what it's like to transition from a classroom teacher to a school leader, but to also make the level of impact that your school community needs, to also understand what it's like to interview among a committee of 10 people, right? Or to do a presentation, a part of your leadership part of your leadership interview, or to be able to on the fly look at a lesson plan and talk about the areas of strength and the areas of growth, right? These are different aspects of the interview process that I personally have gone through or coached aspiring school leaders through who have gotten tangible results. DM me or send me an email at donovansmalls2@gmail.com to book your free discovery call so we can talk more about how we can help you elevate your impact. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with someone else. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.